So, boys, today we're going to make a Tahm Kench tier list. We're going to look at all his matchups. I've played about 150 games of new Tahm Kench. I would call myself a bit of an expert on him. I played a lot of Tahm Kench before. I made a matchup guide. I made a actual guide. I made a tier list for the matchups. I did everything. Since his rework, I've now hit D1 on 2 accounts. I'm pushing for Master Tier. I have a couple of the top spots on the NA solo queue ladder. So I want to tell you guys how to get better at this goddamn character, because I've been getting so many questions asking me, how do I play him? What's good into him? What should I pick against him? What should I avoid? What should I be banning? All this stuff. So hopefully this little matchup guide will give us a little bit of an idea of how to normalize more of your games. If you do want a text version of this, I would recommend checking out Noam Watley's guide. He's a master tier, maybe even grandmaster right now, Tahm Kench main on EU West. He has a really, really good guide. I'll link it in the description when this goes up on YouTube. But anyways, let's get going. So the first matchup is Aatrox. So I think the Aatrox matchup has always been hard. I also think I'm pretty bad into it. Tahm Kench is a relatively slow character, so you have trouble dodging Aatrox Qs. That being said, like if you pick up Bramble, as soon as you get Anathema's chains, this matchup becomes a lot easier than old Tahm Kench, in my opinion. A lot of these matchups I'm going to try to talk about with the idea that Anathema's chains at some point probably will be nerfed. So if the matchup is 100% dependent on building Anathema's chains and finishing it and making them do 30% reduced damage, then I probably won't rank it as a favorable matchup. But I'll try to explain all my thought process for all of them. So as for Aatrox, I personally think it's like a slightly enemy favored, but it's not like awful anymore. I think in my old matchup guide I put Aatrox in like hard wins sort of thing, but I played this matchup a fair bit. I'm probably 50-50 on it. It feels pretty rough like early through 6. He's still pretty unkillable once he hits 6 and uses his ultimate, but you have a lot more tools to actually be able to deal with him. Still pick up Bramble and you should be able to crush him pretty easily. Akali. I think the Akali matchup's pretty even. I think this is a character that's going to get consistently nerfed every patch too. I've lost lane to a couple of Akalis, but she's been nerfed twice since I've played against her last. And I just honestly think that this character will always be a 45% win rate character in solo queue. So unless they're an Akali master or something, I don't see a reason why you should be losing this matchup. Pick up Anathema's chains, put it on her. As soon as that is on her, you probably can't die to her anymore. Just build full tank. Just respect her like level 6 burst, and you're more than fine. Next is Camille. So actually, I'm starting to think the Camille matchup is Tahm Kench's favor. It might be even, but I've played against a lot of Camille one tricks, and I've gone pretty fucking even to favored in these matchups. With the addition of Anathema's chains in your actual item build, you just kind of crush this matchup. Personally, I think I'm still like getting better at it, so I would like to put it even, but honestly, it's probably Tahm Kench's favorite at this point, which is kind of crazy because I've been a Camille hater since her release. I think her hookshot should probably be double the cooldown. It'd probably still be a balanced ability. I have lots of problems with her. I have problems with her Q doing 1,000 true damage late game every like 5 seconds. But honestly, Tahm Kench does really, really well into her. He shuts down a lot of her early game power. Next is Cassiopeia. Holy fuck, dude. This matchup, it can be rough. This matchup can be here, but honestly, if Cassiopeia was a better character, I think it would be almost impossible to win. The old Tahm Kench had a lot of trouble getting on her, but now at least with W, you can kind of get on her. You have to avoid Miasma. Miasma does completely shut down your mobility with your new W, but you can actually get on her. If you get a gank on, you can actually help your jungler and kill her. So I feel like this matchup has gotten a lot better since the changes. Cho'Gath is fucking... It's barely even a lane anymore. Before it was super easy. You lost some of your early game stats, level 1 through 3, but this character doesn't do fucking anything versus you. All he has to like, his whole goal is to just survive lane through his passive healing and then stop you from killing him with Qs and Ws. But yeah, this lane's really, really bad for Cho'Gath overall. So the Darius one is probably my most controversial one. I'm so fucking bad at this lane. A lot of good Tahm Kenches say it's like a pretty even matchup. They might even say it's like slightly Tahm favored. A lot of people on Reddit say it's Tahm favored, but I think a lot of those players are a little bit lower ELO. But like Tahm Kenches that I respect say it's a pretty even matchup. I personally think it's slightly enemy favored. I think it's like the closest one between enemy favored and even. I think I have to start taking Ignite to this matchup. If you take Ignite to this matchup, your trades are so much fucking closer. I still don't have the confidence to drop Teleport to take Ignite. Maybe there's a world in which I can go TP Ignite like Camille's, or what's the other character that does it? Gwen's do it sometimes. But this matchup is just so fucking snowbally. If you kill him early, you can kind of like just run him down all game. If he kills you first, you can't salvage it. You get chains too late to start salvaging it. Like, the main trade pattern is you have to avoid bleed. If he gets 5 stacks of bleed, you lose that trade no matter what. So take short trades, post 6, auto Q auto, pull him under tower, spit him under tower. Just try to survive till 6 at the very least. Just don't take trades where you get 5 stacks of bleed applied to you, and just do your best. Cool. Next is Mundo. So I've played against a lot of Mundos. I originally thought this matchup was pretty even, but I'm really starting to think it's Tahm Kench favored. Tahm Kench has problems dealing with him in the sense that he consumes all 3 of your stacks to pop his passive, and then you don't really have any CC or anything else to like follow up on. But I don't think that matters. He can't kill you, and you have potential to kill him is like the biggest thing. You have potential to kill him. He never has potential to kill you. Once you get Anathema's chains, there's no way you can ever die to him. There's no way he even gets close to killing you. It is very annoying having to pop his passive and then he ults away with like crazy regen. But is it really that bad of a thing if like you're like winning lane, winning CS, but you can't kill him? Like, Tahm Kench is a way better character that you don't have to rely on getting solo kills in lane anymore, and I think this matchup definitely benefits based off that. So Fiora, every Tahm Kench main says this is like one of the hardest matchups in the game. I think it's favored for Fiora, but I don't think it's impossible. This matchup definitely does scale with ELO. The higher ELO you get, the better the Fioras are. They're never going to get hit by your Q. You can never use W on them because they'll riposte you. Their mobility is crazy. They do percentage health damage. Everything seems like it's terrible, but you build Bramble, you build Steel Caps, you build Anathema's chains, and then what does she do? She can't split push versus you later. You're too tanky, you sustain too much with Qs and Es. Yeah, I just think this matchup, you have to play it like super, super slow. The main thing to note in this matchup is never use your W on her. Never try to knock her up with your W. That is the easiest parry in the world, and you'll be stuck for like 2 seconds after. If you want to use your W, use it like fully behind her to commit to a kill. If you're getting a gank, if you just want to like actually like put pressure and engage on her, make sure you're Wing behind her rather than on her. That's like the biggest thing I could say about this matchup. Also, don't get your fucking ult canceled with her parry. Just don't. Gangplank, I fucking hate this matchup. I think this matchup's like so dog shit. The reality is I think in a vacuum, Gangplank should be here, but I also think in a vacuum, Gangplank should be here for almost every matchup for his character in the game. That being said, not everyone can pilot Gangplank at like a challenger level, so it's probably slightly favored for Gangplank, but not that favored by any means. He can cleanse your ultimate, he can cleanse your Q stun, he can peel for himself by hitting barrels, he can poke you out early game with Qs, he gets to free farm in lane, but it's still like Gangplank. He's one of the hardest mechanical characters in the game to play versus Tahm Kench, who, I hate to say it, Tahm Kench mates, he's pretty fucking easy to play. Your ability to fuck up stuff is so much lower than his, and I feel like that usually ends up with you winning the game most of the time. You're not going to win lane, you're not going to solo kill him very often, but you can typically do a lot more than this character. Just don't give him too much of a farm advantage, keep pressure on him throughout lane, and just do your best. And don't fucking use your ultimate when he has oranges up. Make sure he cleanses your Q rather than your ultimate, or else you'll be very sad. Garen matchup is fucking so easy. It's probably almost as free, maybe even freer than the Cho'Gath matchup. The only thing Garen can really do is that he can cleanse the slow on your Q with his Q, but what else does he do? He's very like, he's not very mobile. You can kind of just like roll him. If you're running Ghost, you can chase him down through anything. I definitely would recommend running Ghost into most of these lanes. I'll probably try to talk about taking Flash over Ghost if the matchup really needs it, but you can just run him down with Ghost. He really can't do much. Next is Gnar. I think the matchup's pretty even. Honestly, I almost want to put it as Tahm Kench favored, but Gnar, range matchups are rough in general, right? You have to run approach velocity, you have to hit Qs. Q into W is great, but he still has a hop to get away, so he shouldn't get hit by your W unless he's like just misplaying or he wastes his jump. But honestly, the matchup's not that bad. It's gotten a little bit better than old Tahm Kench. Being actually able to W behind him or W on him and get in range allows for the potential of solo kills. But typically this is going to be a farm fest. You farm up, he farms up, he pokes you down, but you kind of sustain back up with Qs and shields. Gragas, I haven't played this matchup enough. I know I've heard a lot about top Gragas and mid Gragas from our Leaguecast Discord. Make sure to join that if you want to join in on our conversations. But I just haven't played this matchup enough. I have really no idea how it would go. I would assume it would be Tom favored, but I haven't played this matchup at all. Gwen. So Gwen is definitely enemy favored. I definitely before would put it here, but I think she's a character that, I mean, she's got nerfed the last 2 patches. She's probably going to get nerfed again. She does hard counter your character in a lot of ways. She can use her W to block ranged Qs. Her passive and her ultimate both do maximum health damage, which is really good versus Tahm Kench. She heals back up. She does true damage. Just all that stuff is really, really good versus your character. But it's not like unwinnable. You can solo kill this character, especially under tower if you get like good munches and pulling her under tower. It's just she is a newer character. She has more things that she can do in the game. Just don't feed her or else you will lose the game. It's definitely not like unwinnable by any means though. They will continue to nerf this character and it should continue to get better. Heimerdinger actually is unwinnable though. I haven't played this matchup with new Tahm Kench yet, but I assume it hasn't gotten any better. You can't win 2v1s with your jungler. You can't kill turrets because you have to Q and auto them. The best thing you can do in this matchup is queuing and autoing turrets so you don't take as much harass, but just sit under turret, man. Actually, just dodge if someone picks Heimerdinger. They're probably a Heimerdinger one trick. But yeah, this matchup is approaching impossible, I would say. I don't know if it's even worth playing. Even 2v1s are like really, really hard to deal with. Illaoi. So I'm an Illaoi hater. I think anyone who plays this character just doesn't understand why League of Legends is fun. But hey, each to their own. This matchup's pretty even though. I think it's actually gotten better since the Tahm Kench changes. The biggest thing is if you get hit by her E, don't fight. You can't get hit by E. You can't fight through her E until you're like turbo fed. If you dodge E though, feel free to W on her now. She has no abilities left in her kit. She is a terrible character without her ultimate or without her E. If she ults, apply 3 stacks to her and eat her. She can't slam and you have her in your stomach for the full 3 seconds. Don't spit her out early or else she'll get slams and heal up. But this matchup's actually like pretty good. Just your character's kind of slow and when you get hit by an E, you feel pretty bad about it overall. Irelia is fucking rough. I personally think this matchup's like, it's not like this bad. I mean, they're going to continue to nerf her. She's probably got overbuffed with the rework, but I haven't done too well into it. I think you do need to build early Bramble, early Steel Caps. You need Chains. I think this is a matchup where you rely very heavily on Chains. So if Chains does get nerfed, this matchup becomes worse. If Irelia gets nerfed, this matchup becomes better. But there's really not too much you can do with this. Just care. Her W does a lot of damage. Her Q will heal her up because she goes Blade of the Rune King rush. Yeah, I would honestly just rush Bramble in this lane, then get Chains as soon as possible. When you get Chains, this matchup does normalize, but you're really relying on an item being broken to neutralize this lane. Jax. So Jax overall is like pretty Tahm favored. The only downside right now is that there is a bug that Riot refuses to fix where if you auto Jax into Jax's E, the dodge, into Shen's W, the dodge, or when you're blinded by Teemo, you drop all your stacks off that target. So if you have 3 stacks on Jax and then he uses E, his spinny dodge move, and you auto attack it, it will drop all 3 stacks off of Jax immediately. And that makes it really, really hard to win this matchup. That being said, it's a pretty easy ability to not auto attack into. He has to do it purposely for you to do it. If he E's onto you, Q's onto you, then uses E, use Q to slow him and run away. You can usually outrun his E, and then you can retrade back onto him with more Qs or with W. Cool. Next is Jace. Jace is honestly pretty even. This character is annoying in the fact that he's a ranged character and he has a knockback. But I think Jace is like pretty fucking hard to play. If he takes Phase Rush, this matchup gets even harder. But overall, it's really not that bad. You can still do gimmicky shit like you get Q auto Q on him, and then he turns into hammer form and knocks you away, you can eat him the same time that he's in his hammer knock away animation, and it will knock him back with you, which is fucking crazy. You just kill him no matter what if you pull that off, and it's like not that hard to pull off by any means. Karma, I think Karma's like pretty even. I also haven't played versus one in a long time. I used to play against lots of top Karmas last season, but I imagine it's just annoying. You can't really kill her. She has shield. She has stun. I think it's a stun, or it might be a root. She has good peel. But once again, she's not killing you in this lane. This is a lane where you don't have to go chains, so you can go straight into your mythic and straight into being a full tank. And yeah, no kill pressure against you. Just kind of hard to kill her. Kayle. So I haven't played against Kayle. I know she's got gutted a little bit on this patch because she was too strong of a mid laner. This matchup used to be fucking super free before, and I can't imagine it honestly being that much worse. Because you now have a gap closer, right? 1 through 6, you could punish her really, really hard, her being a melee character. I'm assuming you can punish her even fucking harder now that you have a way to slow her into a knockup. So I haven't played the versus this matchup yet. I think she's mainly played mid right now. But if she has played top, just abuse her 1 through 6 and before she gets ranged. Because once she gets ranged, it probably will get a little bit harder for you. Kennen's fucking impossible to play versus. If he takes Phase Rush, it's actually impossible. If he doesn't take Phase Rush, if he takes what are some of the other ones? I think Fleet used to be something that people took on Kennen. Then it's probably like actually doable. But Phase Rush characters kind of fuck Tahm Kench pretty hard. Kennen being a ranged Phase Rush character makes it even harder. Thank God Kennen is a terrible character. No one plays him because this matchup used to be really, really bad. I just haven't played it yet this season. A matchup that I have played this season, though, is Kled. I've played versus a lot of Kleds this season. Turns out there's a lot of like high diamond Kleds, probably because they abuse their the people they lane against, because most people don't know how to play versus Kled. So Tahm Kench Kled is fine. It's very similar to every single Kled matchup. The #1 tip I will teach you, and this has changed my outlook on Kled in general, is that unmount him or demount him, back up, wait for your entire kit to come back up, and then fight him. You can kill him before he remounts if you go at him with like all your abilities up. Or demount him and then push the wave under tower. Make him last hit minions under tower without his mount. Those are 2 good ways to win the matchup. The only thing you can really fuck up in this lane is eating him as he's about to demount. If he has like say 500 Kled HP and then 10 Skarl HP, if you eat him with your ult and spit him out, you will only do like the 10 Skarl HP because he can't take damage past that point. You can't one-hit Kled as a character because it does Skarl's HP bar, makes him demount, and then does Kled's HP bar. So make sure you're not bursting Skarl, make sure you're bursting Kled. Lee Sin after the changes is fucking terrible. I honestly... I'm just not even going to actually put it on here. I don't think it's worth talking about. Lee Sin, they pushed him out of top lane so hard that... I mean, it will be up in this category of, like, Tahm Kench just wins so hard. Just no one should be playing that. He's just bad as a laner now, in my opinion. At least for top. Maybe he's still, like, playable mid. Next is Lissandra. So I think Lissandra is relatively hard for you, but once again, who gives a fuck? Lissandra's a pretty bad character. She has everything in her kit not to die to you. She has slows, she has stuns, she has E to get away, but she's pretty not good, right? So if Lissandra beats you in lane, she's not going to solo kill you. She might get a CS lead because she's ranged, but she shouldn't crush you by any means. And if she doesn't crush you, then your character probably is better overall than hers, which I would say is overall a win. But as for laning phase, she's pretty strong into you. You can't really do much versus her. She has too much in her kit. Next is Lucian. Lucian is a hard matchup. It used to be on the wins hard category, almost like unwinnable sort of thing. But since you now have W, you have a bit of a gap closer. If you hit Q, you can W onto him. He will dash away. You hit another Q, and then he's probably going to die because of that. You can run him down with Ghost. You have a lot to deal with now. If he's really beating you up, build early steel caps, build Anathema's chains. Yeah, just become a fucking stat stick that he can't burst through. Malphite's so fucking easy. As you're starting to see, the characters that you like 100-0 in late are all very like season 1S characters. Low mobility, low damage, kind of tanks, yada yada yada. Malzahar is like kind of annoying. I haven't really laned versus any top. I've laned versus one top Malzahar. That's why I'm putting it on here. But I haven't laned against really any more past that. He doesn't really do anything is the biggest thing. Maybe it's not as like easy as these matchups, but it's not hard by any means. He silences you, plays at distance. If you hit Q, he doesn't get slowed by it, so it's a little bit annoying. So you have to hit 2 Qs in a row before you can W onto him. But he doesn't really do anything. Just push him under, pressure the map, win through other lanes. Maokai is fucking just as easy as all these characters. They're all just so fucking easy to beat. I don't even know if there's too much to explain. If his healing is too much, build early Bramble if you really want. I don't think that you should even need it though. Mordekaiser, I think Mordekaiser is enemy favored. I hate Mordekaiser because you have to build early Bramble into him because he has so much healing in his kit, especially with the W, with the E changes this. It's his W, especially with the W changes this patch. But he's a magic damage character. I would personally recommend speccing into double MR shards and then rushing early Bramble and then going into Anathema's chains. After that, it's really not too bad, but just make sure that you're not getting hit by too many isolated Qs or else he will start to demo you a little bit. His isolated Q damage is most of his damage in his kit. Nasus, I think the Nasus lane is fucking super easy. It's probably not as easy as these ones, but it's definitely easier than these lanes. You can really abuse Nasus now that you have a W. You can kind of zone him off everything. That being said, he's still going to scale. So you have to make sure that you kill him in lane, you shut him down so he doesn't get any stacks, and then pressure the rest of the map as hard as you can. Because if you 5-0 him in lane, and then you go help the rest of your map, he's just going to split push and side lane for as long as he wants, and eventually he will become an issue. But overall, very, very easy lane. Very hard to lose to. I think Neeko is like a little bit annoying. I don't think she's like it's probably favored. On hit Neeko's kind of dead. AP Neeko's kind of annoying. The main reason why she's annoying is because she has her decoy, which makes it very hard to chase her down, and she has her stun, which is really, really annoying to deal with. But overall, she's not going to kill you in lane. Kind of like a lot of the mages that are being played top, they're more annoying because of their self-peel potential rather than their damage. I've played against a lot of top Nidalees. There's a couple top Nidalee mains on NA, and the matchup's fucking easy. I could see how this like abuses a lot of characters, but Tahm Kench is not one of the characters that gets abused by it. Healing up with your Qs, absorbing damage with your shield, she really doesn't do that much. If you hit a W on her, she just dies. She can try to turn into cat form and W out of it, but she usually doesn't have the time to do it. So if she's ever in human form, if you hit a Q, go immediately for the W. I don't think she has enough time to actually W out of it. Top Nocturne is pretty fucking bad now. The only reason I put it not in the super easy category is that his level 1 is still very, very strong. If you fight on his Q trail, you will get slapped. The big AoE heal in the minions with the Q damage buff probably will outtrade you level 1. Post that though, lane becomes very, very free. Just make sure you're not just raw Wing onto him because he will spell shield it, and then he probably will trade back pretty hard on you. So just care about that. Olaf is pretty fucking even. I've only laned against it once. I've played against a lot of Olafs in the jungle, and when that character gets ahead, he's a fucking nightmare. But when you're laning versus him, he won't get ahead. Your early game is so much better than his. Your 1 through 5, you can just zone him off everything. You can kill him early. Post 6, care for jungle ganks. You're just gonna get run down. You can't use ult on him. You have to try to W out. So hopefully their jungler doesn't have too much hard CC. Yeah, I would honestly recommend just like abusing his level 1 through 5 and then building chains as soon as possible. Ornn is fucking free. This character, I think if the meta is like a 10-minute longer game, Ornn becomes a fucking issue for you because his scaling is starting to get a little bit scary. But all that you have to care about is if they're an Ornn 1-trick, check the number of games that they play. If they are an Ornn 1-trick, make sure they don't do the like 6-second CC combo that does like half your HP bar, because that's the only way you're ever going to get killed by this character. You're not going to get chipped down by him. You're not going to get killed randomly unless he does the alt into Q into E into alt into auto combo. It's like, you can look it up. It's a very hard combo to do, but it CCs you for like 6 seconds and does a ton of damage. So just care for that. If they're not Ornn 1-trick though, don't worry honestly at all. Just worry about the game going too long and him giving his team 5,000 gold worth of stats. Pantheon I've only played against once, kind of crushed him in lane. His early game is a little bit scary. You have to care about his empowered abilities. Outside of that, though, don't worry too much. Build chains if you really are getting beaten, but you should just be able to build your mythic, picking up maybe steel caps if they have some AD, maybe Bramble if you really want, but I don't think Bramble's really needed. Poppy's annoying. Definitely an easy matchup, but annoying one. Her CC's pretty annoying to deal with. Just care. She does way more damage than you'd expect for like a pseudo tank, but you should just be able to bully her 1 through 5, and then post 6. You're probably not killing her post 6 because she will just ult you away. There is some cheesy stuff that you can do. If you get auto Q auto off and she tries to ult you away, as her ult fires, you can eat her and take her with you. That's a guaranteed kill, but it is way harder to do than the Jace interaction with his hammer knock away. Quinn matchup still kind of blows. It's definitely not as bad. I just think Quinn's a bad character. This patch is the biggest thing. Quinn got some fucking pretty big nerfs in the fact that Sanguine Blade kind of blows cock this season. And then, I mean, I'm assuming she probably tries to go Sanguine Blade Hullbreaker, maybe just into full crit Quinn. I actually haven't played versus one this season, but using W on her, like Q into W is just a free combo, and then she can't really get away from you. The slow from your Q is too much that even if she gets herself away with E, she's gonna have to flash away. Yeah. Sorry, Sanguine is an item. Yeah, sorry. I appreciate it, man. I haven't played versus her in a long time. But yeah, I'm assuming that her itemization's kind of shit because of that then. She probably wants to go something like Hullbreaker if she wants to split push, or maybe she just goes into regular, like, kind of credited carry like we saw her transition into after Sanguine Blade last season. Either way, Q into W I know is a true combo on her, and she can't really E out. Honestly, she probably has to E out onto a minion before you hit W if she wants to get away from you. The Renekton matchup is pretty Tahm Kench favored. The only thing you have to worry about in the Renekton matchup is that if you go for a big shield, don't go for too big of shields in this matchup because Renekton's empowered W shreds shields. So it's one of the only 2 shield breaks in the game, thank you Riot Games, with Blitzcrank ult and Renekton W. So if you go for like a 700 HP shield and he has empowered W, he's going to break that immediately and do a ton of damage to you. As long as you don't do that though, you can kind of just outstat him. If you really need to, you can build Anathema's Chains. Just build into your tank mythic and you can kind of outdamage him overall. Killing him can be a bit of an issue as dash in, stun, dash out is a pretty hard combo to stay on. But if you can hit some like pretty tricky Qs, then you should just be able to run him down with Ghost. Rengar. So I've played against a fair bit of Rengar one-tricks. The main issue is that Rengar one-tricks know the character way too well, especially the ones that play top. Their bush management is kind of spooky. Having W has made this matchup a lot easier. It's still not one that I enjoy playing, but just make sure that, similar to the Gangplank matchup, that you're not eating Rengar when he has full stacks, because he will cleanse out of your mouth with his W, and you will be really sad. Other than that, though, just pretty generic AD character. Build tank items if you need to, build steel caps if you need to, and survive. Riven. So I think Riven's actually like a pretty even matchup. This is assuming the Riven's a good player, by the way. I've played against D2 like 800 game Rivens. I've played against D1 like 800 game Rivens. This is where the matchup starts to feel really even. Bad Rivens, like, it's pretty easy. I don't know if there's too many Rivens that are better than that. Like, I'm sure if I played against like Adrian Riven or someone like that, they probably like would beat me up a little bit more. But once you get steel caps, Bramble, chains, yada yada yada, she has no kill potential. Before that, the lane's really annoying. Her queuing in with third Q into stun, she'll micro stun you out of like auto attacks like 2 or 3 times in a trade. Just play smart. Don't die to her. Watch out for her ult burst potential. You will eventually outstat her as a character. Rumble. I haven't played versus Rumble in a while. Mostly because Rumble's been a jungler this season. I played against him pre-rework this season, but not post-rework. This matchup was never that hard. You just take magic resist shards. Watch out for overheat. Overheat with ultimate does do 1 billion damage. That being said, you can absorb a lot of it with your shield. And he's a character that once he goes through his combo, like once his overheat combo, he doesn't really have that much else to finish you off with. Usually like when Rumble's played mid or Rumble's played jungle, that one combo is like their kill combo. If they don't kill with that, they maybe try to follow up a little bit, but they don't have most of their damage after that. Ryze is impossible. I thankfully have only played against one this season, but Ryze with Phase Rush, you have no way of getting in on him. His stuns plus Phase Rush just means he's actually fucking untouchable all lane. I would recommend, like, you have to run approach velocity. You probably have to get a little bit of MR. You need early MR boots because you need to get out of his stuns quick or his snares quick enough. This matchup blows. It really, really is bad. You need to call for ganks. I don't know if there's anything you can do other than rushing MR and then hopefully out tanking him at some point. Set. So Set's honestly, like, I would say Tahm Kench favored. It's a little bit annoying because if you try to fight him 1 through 3, he usually can just stat check you. His passive regen when he's like low is really spooky. His Q attack speed steroids insane. His E stun is the fucking easiest stun in the game to hit. His W true damage, if he stuns into his W, then I think it's unavoidable. But yeah, just watch out for this character. If you do get kill pressure on him, when you eat him, make sure you're spitting him out, not in a way that he ults you into turret, or in a way that he ults you into turret, not in a way that he ults you into turret, or not in a way that he ults you into your team, or not in a way that he's gonna ult for his own escape. Personally, if I'm trying to like spit him out, I'm spitting him out so I'm facing a wall. So if he ults me, he immediately like it cancels and he like doesn't really go anywhere. So just be aware that when you're spitting him out, he's going to probably use his ultimate on you immediately. Shen. I actually think the Shen matchup's pretty easy. I've played it a fair bit. I think a lot of Tahm Kenches think this matchup's harder than it actually is. The main thing is that with the bug that currently affects Shen, Jax, and Teemo, you want to not be auto-attacking into his W, so play it a little more cautiously right now. If he has his W up, just go for Qs instead. He does have pretty crazy trades early game, especially if he goes the Ignite. He can cheese kill you like level 3 or 4. But yeah, you can easily stop his ultimate with your W. You can eat him, spit him under tower. You get pretty easy kills like that. Just care. He's a character that if he pulls sword through you level 1, if he taunts into you and pulls sword through you, if he has Ignite, he might solo kill you. So just be aware of that. Most people like kind of disrespect Shen because he's supposed to be a full tank, but his early game trade patterns are kind of crazy. Singed is a bad matchup, man. I know like a couple Tahm Kenches think it's pretty easy. This matchup kind of blows, especially I'm assuming that you're playing versus a Singed mid. If someone just picks up Singed randomly to play it against you, you're probably going to do fine at it. I mean, I've like 5-0 to Singed in a game because he just picked it up to like, hey, this is a good statistical matchup versus Tahm Kench. That being said, if he's not, if he is a Singed one trick, you don't really have kill pressure. He's going to fling you away. He's going to poison you. He's going to slow you. You have to take double MR shards, in my opinion. You also need to take the rune, what's it called? I think Second Wind, just so you can heal back up from poison pretty easily. I would honestly recommend taking like a little bit of MR like early, building it into your build. But just care. Like, he can't really kill you unless you like overcommit to kills that you can't go for. But he's a character that it's going to be pretty fucking hard to kill him. He's really hard to kill. So just care. It's statistically one of Tahm Kench's worst matchups for a reason, even though not a lot of people play this character. Sion's like in the same category as like all these characters. They're just fucking big, dumb Morgon characters. You kind of just run him down, especially with the W change. Like, he's so slow that hitting W on him is so fucking easy. You should be able to solo kill this character a couple times throughout lane. Yeah. Cool. The main thing you have to like note when playing this matchup, the Sion matchup, is that make sure that if he goes for a Q, lots of Sions will just go for Qs in the middle of trades because you don't have time to walk out of it without boots. Make sure you're stunning him out of his Qs. If you're stunning him out of his Qs, there's no way he can outtrade you overall. Swain. So Swain is hard in the sense that he's a phase rush ranged user. He's bad in the sense that he's kind of immobile. If you like hit Q into W, you're on him and he can't really get away. He has to throw out his Q so fucking far, pull it back, hopefully throw out his, you know what I mean, throw out his E, pull you back, but he pulls you towards him. As soon as you're on him in melee range, he can't really get away. He's probably one of the worst phase rush users in the top lane. And you can kind of abuse the length of the lane, but he still is a phase rush user, so just be careful of him. Especially be careful of mechanics like when you eat him when his ultimate is on, he will heal inside of you with his ultimate on. That is something that not a lot of people expect. So if you eat him and you just need to like go for burst damage, spit him out as soon as you can, because you want to be like landing auto attacks rather than letting him heal up inside of you. Sylas is a fucking free lane. This character I think is bonkers in my opinion, but he's a character that you can kind of just abuse. It's a little bit annoying that he can actually use your ultimate now, because old Tahm Kench would get a fucking teleport, and who really cares how that goes? But Ghost is really, really important in this lane. You need to be able to run him down throughout the lane. He will like, he has dashes, he has heals, he has slows. Just make sure to just like all in him like 1 through 6, get a huge lead. Build MR if he does start getting ahead, or build Bramble if his healing is too much. They've been nerfing his healing at like every patch, so just care. Next is Teemo. Teemo matchups like definitely Teemo favored. I'm not going to say it's Tahm Kench favored, but it's mostly favored right now because of the bug, I think. I think this matchup's actually closer to even, mostly because I think Teemo's a dog shit character. Teemo's like pretty fucking bad. But Q's into W, like pretty free combo on him. If you get a jungler gank, you kill him every single time. Even if he has tons of shrooms down, you can just kind of like face tank stuff and push in. Just be careful of his early game poke. Make sure you're using good use of your E's and Q's to heal up and keep yourself shielded. And then just outscale the character. Teemo's not a very good character. He doesn't really scale too far into the game. You're a much better character, especially since the rework. Trundle's pretty fucking easy. Be careful of his level 1. He is one of the few characters in the game that can outtrade you early game. If you don't get cheese killed early though, this lane's really, really free. I don't know if there's anything else that you should like really note. You can build Bramble to stop some of his healing because he does heal a lot from his passive, but other than that, it's not too bad. Tryndamere actually might be the easiest lane right now that I've played against. I played against so many Tryndamere 1-tricks, and God, this lane fucking blows for them. You can build Bramble if you want. I don't think you really even need it. I would honestly just go right into Chains. After Chains gets nerfed, maybe you go Bramble, or maybe you go right into your Mythic. But this character doesn't really do much. When he uses his ultimate, just eat him. Just eat him. And just hold him in your stomach for 3 out of 5 seconds of his ultimate. It's so fucking easy. There's so many characters that you can just abuse by holding them in your stomach for the duration of their like ultimate or like a strong ability of theirs. Nasus is like a great example of when he withers you, eat him, or when he ults, eat him. You just like kind of just wait it out with him inside of you. Those are like, that's a really abusable mechanic. Yeah. Cool. Next is Urgot. So I haven't played against Urgot in a while. I've played against him once or twice since the rework. Overall, I think it's like slightly Tahm Kench favored. Maybe it's like closer to even. He's just spooky. He's a character that with items, he becomes super problematic, right? You have to dodge Qs, and if you don't dodge Qs, he kind of like outtrades you pretty hard. If he also hits E's, he outtrades you pretty hard. And then once he gets items, he outtrades you pretty hard. I do think Chains compensates for a lot of that, but I don't want to base too much of this tier list off Chains, because I do think Chains is going to get fucking gutted in a couple patches, because it's way too strong of an item, and Tahm Kench abuses it way too hard. That being said, just if he ults you, try to eat him and try to wait it out, because it does last, I think, longer than your ultimate. Let me actually look that up. I don't want to give misinformation. I'm pretty sure his ultimate lasts slightly longer than yours when he shoots it at you, but you can wait out like a lot of it. It lasts 4 seconds. Yeah, so he shoots it at you immediately, unless you're already in kill range and he's gonna pull you and eat you. I mean, pull you in and kill you. You're dead immediately at that point. If he uses it as a slow and a kill measure, auto Q, auto eat, and then wait it out. That's like your best tool to not dying to that ability. You know, if you get ganked, you're probably fucked. They have too much like damage and CC. You're gonna get ulted and just dragged to your death. But do your best. Just care for item advantage. He does spike pretty hard with a couple items. I actually forgot to add Vayne into the tier list. She's one of the hardest lane matchups in the entire game. Most Vaynes, though, aren't that good at the character. If they actually are an 80 carry main playing top, playing Vayne into you, you're gonna have zero fun in the lane. Honestly, just let her push you in. Like, build typical like Bramble Vest, build Chains, build Steel Caps, and just hope for ganks, because you're not winning that without a jungle gank. But she's one of the hardest lanes in the game, but hopefully she is not a Vayne one-trick. Vlad, I don't think the Vlad matchup's that bad. It's probably even in the fact that he is a What's it called? He is a range character, and he does have pool, and he sometimes does go phase rush. That being said, I think I've beaten most of them. He's a little bit annoying. You can go early magic resist. You can go double MR shards in your runes if you want. But yeah, just watch out. If you hit a Q, you can try to combo in with W, but he'll probably pool away. If he burns pool though, get ready to W him after or chase him down. He really has nothing after pool. You can also build early Bramble if his healing is too much, but I feel like you have a strong enough early game versus him that you shouldn't need Bramble. I would honestly focus more on building magic resist to stop his mid to late game. So Volibear, I think a lot of people think Volibear is like relatively like even. I think it's probably, yeah, it's probably even, honestly. I guess the only thing to care about is that he is a stat check early game character. If he gets the damage on his E plus the shield, you have no fucking chance in the world to out trade him. If he only gets the shield, wait it out and then trade into him. Just care though, because his Q does combo into his E, into his Ws, and then you're not winning that trade. If he Qs into E's you, then just back out and try to heal back up with Qs. If you can avoid his combo, his Q into E combo, then you can take trades. Care for dives though. Character will disable your turret, will fucking full combo you, get a huge shield. If he builds AP early to get even bigger shield, you need to dodge that ability. If you're not dodging that ability, you are going to die over and over and over and over again. Build Bramble if you're having trouble with this lane. It will shut down a lot of his trading potential, but you can also build chains if you really are getting stomped, but I don't think it's needed. Just build Bramble into your mythic if you really need to. Warwick, I'm only putting this on here because I played against one like a couple days ago. I didn't know Warwick top was still a thing, but it's like probably Tahm Kench favored. All you have to do is build Bramble, maybe steal caps if you really need, and it kind of shuts down his entire kit. Warwick's definitely like a super underrated top laner, but just be careful. His healing from his passive is fucking crazy. Bramble is like really needed. I would recommend going Bramble Rush as soon as you get 800 gold to shut this character down. Wukong, I would say Wukong's probably like an even matchup. Maybe maybe enemy favored, but like not by much. Once he gets Sunder, he's a little bit spooky. The main things to note in this matchup are look for trades. You do out sustain him overall in fights. If you have a stack on him, at least one stack, and he uses his clone, the clone won't have stacks. The clone will have 0 stacks, and then he will have the stacks. So if he goes from from 2 stacks to 0, it's because he just used clone. So start looking for the clone rather than like attacking the start looking for the real one instead of attacking the clone. Yeah, cool. We're almost done here. So next is Yasuo. I think the Yasuo matchup's like kind of rough. It's definitely rougher than the Yone matchup. We'll talk about that in a second. It's probably like even overall just because you can kind of face tank a lot of his shit. Turns out kind of pseudo tank bruiser characters like Tahm Kench are good into AD assassins. That's why like in my old Tahm Kench guide I recommended playing Tahm Kench mid as a counter to like Talon, Zed, Yasuo, Yone. And this sentiment kind of stands true here. You do have to watch out because if he blocks your Q with his wind wall, he can win trades. He has to take a lot of like shots at you before he can kill you. But for the most part, if you just play smart, you build steel caps, you build Bramble, you build chains, he really can't kill you ever. So just be careful of him taking multiple trade patterns at you to get you whittled down. He's pretty nimble, so hitting Qs on him can be an issue. But if you hit Q, feel free to go in with W, and you can probably just like auto attack him to death. Eat him, bring him under your tower, yada yada yada. Yone's a way fucking easier version of Yasuo. I actually think it might just be free. I want to put it like as favored, but like he's really not that good. He can go for E-trades, but other than going for E-trades, he really doesn't have like as much mobility as Yasuo, which I think is the main reason why Yasuo can do so well into Tahm Kench. But I guess the main thing to look for is look for W's onto his E if you know it's going to time out. Don't eat him when he uses E. If you eat him when he uses his E, if it times out, it will pull him right out of your stomach. And it won't, I don't even think it will do the damage, to be honest. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to confirm that at some point. But this matchup's like very free. If you're really struggling, you can build Bramble, you can build steel plates, you can build chains, but you should just be able to win this just by like out trading him, just kind of face tank him a little bit. Yorick, I think Yorick's like pretty even. So there's upsides and downsides for the Tahm Kench rework playing against Yorick. The upsides being that if he cages you, you W out. You don't have to auto the cage 3 times anymore. The downsides being your early game's a little bit weaker, so you can't abuse him pre-maiden, because post-maiden, fuck, this character's still annoying as shit. You can never, your fights are too long to fight him with maiden. You have to kill maiden by poking down maiden slowly, and then when you get maiden to like maybe 30% HP, you all in him, kill the maiden, kill him. But before that, he's a little bit annoying. He does kind of out-sustain you. His ghouls block your Q a lot. Maiden fucking just sits in lane forever and just beats you up. But yeah, being able to W out of his W out of his W has been a huge improvement to not dying when he gets ahead, which is really, really nice. So yeah, that's overall the tier list for Tahm Kench matchups. I don't think there's too much else I need to talk about. If you see any of these characters, you should just win these matchups really, really hard. These ones are losable, but like Tahm Kench has so many innate advantages in his kit that you should just be like out kind of statting these characters. And then like here, just start like listening to some of the advice I gave. Matchups like Illaoi, for example, make sure you're eating her during her ultimate. There's just like little niche tips to like win these matchups. And then these matchups, play smart. At the end of the day, you are a tank. You can build OP items like Anathema's Chains that these characters can't build. Make sure you're abusing the parts of your kit that are very strong to at least try to look for wins. And then these characters are probably dodge material for you. So hopefully it helps. This has been hopefully decent advice from like a high diamond or a high diamond, diamond 1, whatever point Tahm Kench main. I am putting out a full Tahm Kench guide in the next couple weeks, so be sure to tune in for that. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.